It's Daniel Murphy, and take a look at this video of a Japanese maple. The tree has multiple stems. It's a beautiful tree, looks great in the summertime. It's got quite heavy limbs that are way back out over the neighbor's fence there. It's got some heavy limbs leading out towards the parking area. I pruned this tree 4 years ago, and at the time, rather than cable it, which would have taken 4, 5, 6 cables, because that structure is so bad and there's so many stems and they're just going to keep getting heavier, I actually wrapped a old piece of rope, like a 1/2-inch lowering line that we had retired. I wrapped it around the crown of the tree, encircling all the larger stems throughout the canopy. Now this is somewhat of a unconventional solution here, but it's a very, very effective method for these trees, because cabling that tree would have been a lot of trouble, would have been very expensive, would have been a ton of hardware. The circular system of just putting a 1/2-inch line in there is actually more effective, because it 100% prevents the stems from failing, at the same time allowing for some movement in the tree. This stem here clearly separated and moved and would have broken out in an ice storm some years back. You can see how it opened up there, but the rope held it in place perfectly, and it's going to stay right where it is. Matter of fact, we're going to put a second rope in there. Now, you wouldn't use rope to support a big tree, but on a small or medium tree like a Japanese maple or a Bradford pear that have classically bad structures, it's a very effective technique, and it's very cost effective because there's almost no cost in materials here.
Some of those branches are mighty heavy out there, and then out here too. So on this long branch out here, just want to take a little weight off the tips and shorten it up a little bit so snow and ice loads don't affect it so badly. Now, to do a proper cut, you probably cut it right in here, which I can do. It takes a couple of extra seconds, no big deal, but it's really not necessary. This is going to have zero effect on the biology of the tree. It's strictly an aesthetic thing. Leaving that dead stub there would not affect the growth or health of this branch or the tree in any way. So normally, unless it's an aesthetic thing, I'll just leave a stub. Like this one here, I cut it out far enough so that there's no way I was going to scratch up the rest of the branch, and then didn't notice till now that the whole thing is dead. Ha! Funny. Anyhow, you get the point. Alright, so you got the end of this limb here, right out over the parking lot. It's not that heavy a limb, but it's heavy enough I want to take a little weight off. So I think about pruning this end here, and I'm wondering if the end of this branch is alive even. There's one that caught me earlier that I didn't recognize as a dead branch. This is pretty clearly alive. When you see some green, like that branch there has green on it, you know that's alive. This has a little color on its live. This is not looking quite so. I mean, I think I see green on there, but I'm not sure. All I do is take my thumb and scratch. And when I see that green there, or green on there, can you see that? You know that that branch is indeed alive. This guy here. I've already done some pruning on this side and that back corner over there. And just in taking an overview, looking at this tree, what are the concerns? Number one, it's a beautiful tree. We'd like to preserve the health of the overall tree. We don't want the tree to fall apart. Right now, structurally, that's the most significant danger here, is that this tree would fall apart at the base there because of the bad structural of the multiple stems coming together, poor branch unions down there, and all this weight reaching out. We'll take a look at that later. But the other concern is that it's out over the driveway here, so we want to make sure that nothing falls off and hurts these people. This is actually a doctor's office as they're coming into and out of this parking lot. So all the big dead wood for sure has got to go. Look at that tree giving me a hard time. And then we're going to take a little weight off the branch tips as well. So this will be the new end of this branch. We'll take this guy off here. This guy here. And that's got plenty of green left on it. We're taking some weight off the tips. If we do that on a number of tips, we're going to definitely reduce any chance that this particular limb is going to fail during an ice storm or snowstorm. And you don't want to take too much off. Piece of deadwood. This dead's got to go too. That thing is, see how loose and wobbly that is. This whole leaf should probably come out of here. We should tighten that up. So I don't like making large cuts on the trunks of these stems, but the choice has been made to remove this one. That half has been dead for some time. This is all wobbly out here, not doing that well. So we're just going to remove the whole thing. And I'll cut the rest of that from the ground. And out to these branch tips here. This piece is getting mighty heavy, and it is outside of the rope that we use to secure the whole crown of this tree. So taking a good bit off of here is a good idea. One concern is sun scald. You take too much off the top, the lower branches that have their tops exposed, their more horizontal limbs will tend to get sun scald. Now sun scald looks bad from up top, but I haven't seen too many branches fail as a result of sun scald. It's amazing how the tree responds to that and seems to still be okay. We take enough weight off of this branch that there's no way this branch is going to fail, and enough the main stem that's attached to, which is out here, keep that intact as well. And just notice I'm reaching on that, and see how wobbly that feels. It doesn't really feel that stable. It's not a bad idea to take weight off, and I could take something like that, take that off, but I'm going to take it back in here. That'll leave enough green on there so that branch can recover nicely, and take enough weight off the end so that it doesn't fall apart and storm sometime down the road. I could take this one all the way back to here. I'm feeling the limb. It's feeling fairly stable. But let's clean up those hangers as soon as possible so you don't forget about them. And using that handsaw, a little hook on the blade helps too. See that little hook there? Good for grabbing hangers like that. Now you can see this cut is a cut I made some years ago. The tree is regrown from here. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to clean this up just a little bit on some of these guys here. They don't need all of that grown from here. And we could cut this stub off and show you there's not a lot of decay moving back into that limb. We really don't have to. Let's take a look. See how firm that looks and feels compared to this one? How bouncy that is? Let's figure that way. This branch is going to fail in an ice storm. But we're going to take some weight off the tips and make sure that doesn't happen. top of this, stone dead. There's no green at all in there. And normally you would take that whole thing out, but these few little lower limbs here could end up shading, because we got some open sky here, could end up shading the trunk of this tree down low, which I'm trying to preserve. So I'm going to leave the entire limb in order to preserve these lower branches, and it may fill in. It may fill in and actually become valuable branches to the tree. Alright, this limb here has a major stress crack in it. It's nearly a horizontal limb. I'm quite sure there was an ice storm here a couple years back from the look of this callus growth. This is very interesting stuff. I love to think about this stuff. It's like the physics involved here. When a branch is getting loaded, the bottom end of the branch is getting compressed. The top side is getting tension. It's getting pulled apart. The bottom end is getting compressed. And when those forces get too much, pushing against each other, it creates this type of crack here. Definitely a clear sign that the limb needs to be taking some weight off. In this case, it's a small limb, and I'm taking the whole limb off. If that was a big, major limb on a tree, I would try to preserve the limb. I would try to take some weight off it. I might bolt it to give it a little more strength. But what I also like to think about here is this same thing. It's almost like the physics or engineering of an I-beam. You could just almost think of this as a round I-beam. When the end of an I-beam is getting loaded, the top becomes under tension, the bottom becomes under compression. And that's very similar to the forces that are acting on this limb here. And that has implications in falling and rigging scenarios as well. So, just a side point, I thought you might enjoy hearing that. Something to think about. Alright, now we're going to set up the second rope here. That first one did pretty well. We don't want to take any chances though. See if we can manage to snag this guy. Got to get around this branch here. Okay. Old school, guys. Pole saw. Right through there. This guy. I'll spread that out a little bit. I want to work my way around the whole tree like this. Alright, here's this old piece of line we set up, and there's not that much weight on it. I was expecting more weight, to tell you the truth. This piece here is the one I think would just fall over if this rope wasn't in it. This is a dead piece right here. It's not going to be around that much longer, but it's not holding. It's kind of somewhat of a straight line, so I'm actually going to just remove this right now. We'll see what happens. So we're wrapping this rope here on a slightly different path than the last one. there. Hold on a second. We probably don't have to worry too much about snugging this up, but it gives us a little mechanical advantage in order to do that with. We're going to call it all good here. You see this one here? Around, down a little lower, and there it goes. We're done pruning. We put that second piece of 1/2-inch line in there to act as a support, wrapping the entire crown of the tree. And this is all the debris that's involved in this entire tree. So we have just, see the green leafy material on the ground here compared to what's up there in that tree. Probably 10%. It might be 15, but it's definitely not 20. And it's all from the branch tips. Had to make a couple of fairly significant cuts in here. That was completely dead. This was completely dead. And the one I regret making is actually that one where there was that stress crack in the branch, because you see that was covering the middle of the tree. I'm a little concerned now that this tree could end up getting some sun scald in here. Hopefully it fills in the springtime fairly quickly. And again, just to show you why we wrapped that up, this is opened up here, meaning this whole piece peeled off and is laying out here like that. So we've got 2 separate ropes in it now. And that backside's looking kind of heavy. We didn't wrap that backside up. We rerouted the second line and just went around this inner lead here, leaving those 2 from just to be supported by the original rope. And then the rest is pretty much a similar path. And we took some weight off the tip. So that's how I recommend handling a tree like this. It's very effective. It works very well.